show. He's been in the digital marketing game for over a decade and has helped many business owners monetize their podcasts 6 figures. He'll be sharing some ways to identify and approach potential sponsors for your podcast, along with his 3-tiered approach to monetizing your show, all the way from Austin, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of the Note Closers podcast, Scott Carson in the house. What's up, Scott?
Hey, I'm honored to be here tonight, Ozil. Thank you so much for everybody coming out and joining us here. I'm going to share my slides here, but honored to be here with you guys. You know, we have been doing a lot of Zoom calls over the last couple of weeks. We've been doing them for a long time, and I think it's when Ozil approached me and asked me to speak on it, and then when everything was going on with this, I was like, oh, hey, no, do not cancel it. We're going to keep it rolling because this is how we do most of our stuff. Some of you guys already know me from being on our weekly Wednesday mass media webinars or meeting at PodFest or Spark Christian Podcast or at Outlier or a variety of different places. So honored to be here once again. Thank you for having me. I promise that you're going to get some nuggets out of tonight. And you don't have to worry about taking screenshots. I've actually already taken my slides and uploaded them, and I'll give you the link. So if you want to download my slides, easy to do for you. I have the link at the end for you as well. All right. So, but thank you here for being with us tonight. And I promise we won't be on here for 5 hours, just 4.5 for you. So hopefully you don't have anything else planned tonight. But who is this guy, Scott Carson? Like I said, I'm from Austin, Texas. I'm the host. I've been an entrepreneur and digital marketer since 2004, making my living, as Ozil's shirt says, completely unemployable. All right. I've focused, though, on a very relevant topic for my podcast and my niche over the last 15 years on the distressed real estate, distressed mortgage market. And so I've really kind of carved down to that niche, especially since everything hit the fan starting in 2008. So that's what I've done really the last 12 years is buying and selling that debt as my full-time business with WeCloseNotes.com, and then launched the podcast 3 years ago. So we have our main podcast, Note Closure Show, but we also have 2 spin-off shows from that. One that falls into our special coaching calls we do every Monday night for our note investing students. And then we also do a special big online conference via Zoom that will have like 300 to 1,000 people joining us, and that's something called Note Camp, and that's a 3rd show that we do. But between the 3 shows, the smallest one is 30,000 downloads, all up to the big one having over 570,000 downloads in our 3 years. Done over 1,000 episodes with those 3 different things. And one of the things I've done to help me also get on and grow my show is also be a guest on over 150 other podcasts over the last couple of years. So all great ways to grow your audience, to grow your podcast in a variety of different ways out there. My main podcast, Note Closure Show, while it's a very small niche in the real estate field, we'll still do really well. We'll see over 20,000 downloads. We had over 26,000 downloads this last month, over 20,000 unique downloads as well for you. So, and then we've also got the show syndicated across the country on 17 different AM/FM radio channels, and we get about 80 to 85,000 listeners per hour. And this last month, we had over 2.5 million listeners for the month of March on our radio show. So, but the thing that you guys all want to know is, hey, how are you finding sponsors? And part of what we're doing to help us monetize our podcasts into the 6 figures is with sponsorships. And I've got a little bit of a unique approach because I've been doing this for a while than most people will take. I think a lot of people think, hey, it's like a Field of Dreams. Hey, if you record it, the sponsors will come. And that's not always the case. So the first thing I want to talk about is really the 3 laws of podcast sponsorships. I know it's not the 10 Commandments, okay? 3 basic laws when it comes to podcast sponsorships, okay? The first one is you have to have a valuable show to your sponsors. Now, but what I mean by a valuable show, I mean it's got to be something that you fit a niche inside of what they're offering, or your listener is valuable to them as either a client or a listener of some sort. So you've got to be, the smaller the niche here too, everybody, the more valuable your audience.
You can do whatever you want.
Can you guys, whoever is talking, can you go ahead and mute yourself or mute everybody, Ozil, so we're not getting that feedback? So, but you want to be niche. The biggest issue that I see with podcasters, like they come and ask me questions about sponsorships. I'm like, well, tell me about your show. And it's focused on this and this and this and this. And it's like you water down your message. So the more niche and more narrow focus you can be, the better off you're going to be. All right. Second thing, numbers. It's not just about the number of downloads. I know a lot of us like to talk about vanity numbers, and our good buddy Larry Roberts talk about comparanoia. Every show is unique. So I'm not comparing my show to, say, like Dean Graziasos, who's a big guy in the real estate industry. I know my show because it fits a niche within a niche. And so it can be very valuable. Our buddy Gabe Alusi, who's one of the speakers at Podfest this last year, he's got a very niche show that's focused on like exclusive golf memberships with maybe a total of 5,000 club owners across the country. So numbers, don't get sucked into, oh, how many downloads do you get? Do I have to have 1 million downloads? No, but you need to have some. You need to have some that's going to fit an appropriate kind of target market for that your podcasters take note of. And then 3 is network. Your network is important, not just podcasting. This is why I'm a big advocate of doing these live streams like this or doing it via video and YouTube. I think you all have to realize that we're all in the media field these days, not just podcasting, but media. And the more areas that you have covered, besides just, podcasting platforms, you need to be focused on the video side of things. You need to focus on other ways, social media stuff, and understand that where does your audience hang out is where you need to be, and B, you got to show up on a regular basis. That's one of the biggest things. Consistency is key, and it's more than anything else. With the amount of, if you look at the number of podcasts out there, over 900,000 that started, but only like 250,000 of them are still doing shows on a regular basis. It should tell you, stick with it, stick with it, stick with it. That's one of the biggest things in attracting sponsorships is that, hey, you've been doing this, or you've got experience in doing this for a while. 2, it is all about your audience. That's the number one thing. It's not about how much they're going to pay you to put in your pocketbook, although we would love that. We all love hearing the sound of dollar signs, ringing. It's all about your audience. So you want to make sure, and foremost, if you're going to be attracting sponsors, looking for sponsors, that the sponsor rings well with your audience, because you, being a podcast host, we all know this, that our audience likes and trusts us. So if we recommend something that we don't use, that's the service isn't good or the product is crap, it's going to hurt us in the long run. So always take that very seriously in who you bring on as sponsorship. You have a very, very special relationship with listeners. We all know this, been around for a while, but make sure if you're identifying sponsors, make sure it's actually something you use or something you trust or your listeners will use, okay? And 3, this is the biggest thing that I see people screw up, is they don't treat it like a business. If you were to go out and get a show on television or a show on the radio, you'd have to put some things together as far as a business plan. All right. Now, I'm not talking you got to write out a 5-year business plan, but treat it like a business. And what I mean by that more so than anything else, hey, you want to put a contract together. You're going to have to put a contract of what you're going to do, what they're going to do, when it's going to be done. And you also have to think about how you can best serve them to keep this in the long run. The worst thing you can do is bring on a sponsor and they not be happy and then try to get in that same circle of attracting new sponsors every month. If you do a really great job and come from a servant leader mindset with your sponsors, potential sponsors, they're going to stick with you over and over and over again to really nurture that relationship. I'm also a big believer that you have to give more than you receive. One of the things that we've done really well with our sponsors is that we're always looking for opportunities for them besides just opportunities for us. So I'm constantly referring my sponsors out to other people, and I'm always trying to think of ways, hey, well, how best can I connect Merrill with somebody else, or Aaron with somebody else, the people that I work with, or how can I do this in my network, or where do I find opportunities for them, not just for me? And that's kind of really an intangible thing that you can't put on paper. Hey, so-and-so sent me 12 referrals this month because of a relationship. And so that's one of the things to keep in mind. It's really, you really want to look to build a network with your sponsorship so that it's a true symbiotic relationship. You're referring business to them, they're referring business to you as well. Okay. Now, identifying sponsors. Okay. Here is the thing. And here's the exercise that I recommend to everybody that I'm talking to is just, the first thing you got to know is you just got to know who you're talking to. Who's your avatar? Who's your listener? Okay. You've heard this probably talked about before. Your avatar is who your listener. And you want to just say, oh, he's a guy in his 50s or he's a comic lover. No. You need to know your listener avatar really. I don't want to say down to what kind of underwear they wear, but you really need to know what they're doing on a daily basis. I'll give you an example. Laura Blanc is one of our ideal listeners. And I'll get to that in a second. Then we've also got Joel Markovitz, and I can talk about them in just a second here. So what you want to do is kind of think about, write out what's the day in the life of your listener. What are they doing? What are their activities? What are they watching? What are they listening to? What are they wearing? What are they eating? What are their hobbies? What are their passions besides about what your podcast is? So really get an ideal and a feel for your listeners. What are they doing? What are the problems that they have? What are their fears? What are their dreams? Okay. What are their buying habits is one of the most important things to think about with your podcast. Are you a budget kind of podcast? Are you kind of a midway, or do you kind of serve a higher clientele audience? That will vary too on the type of sponsorships you attract. What are the price points for your listener? You know, if your show is about comic books, that's a great thing, or movies, that's a great thing. That's they're going to the movies, stuff like that. But if your show is about like buying real estate, that's a higher dollar kind of item that you could attract higher valued sponsors along the way. Okay. The biggest thing you want to look at is if you can solve a problem of your listeners and find a sponsor that will come in and solve those problems, that's a really great relationship. What problems do your listeners have? What solutions can you provide? What events do they go to? What conferences do they attend? You know, what's their religion? Do they have kids? Are they retired? What's that really kind of the thing? Another thing is you always want to do is, and I kind of put this on the back burner a little bit, what companies or products are advertising is an important thing out there, but what products that are you using that are already advertising is probably a better thing. Okay, what products are you using? Like I'm using a Logitech webcam. I know that they're looking for podcast sponsors. All right. I know that a website that I use called Rentometer is looking for to be a sponsor on podcasts. So starting to pay attention. It's kind of like that whole thing when you think about buying a red Mustang and suddenly you see red Mustangs everywhere. You start seeing opportunities, you start thinking through this stuff. But the most important thing as well when it comes to identifying sponsors for your podcast is if you can solve a pain of either saving them time and money, that's a beautiful thing. That's an opportunity there. Or fulfill something that's a hobby or passion. People that have hobbies or passions will overpay for something than whether they would be budget mindset. Okay. Michael O'Neill, who was a speaker at VidFest this last year, he has 3 podcasts. They're all surrounded by his hobbies. He loves Porsches. He rehabs Porsches. So one of his podcasts is called The Wrench, and he's reached out and brought in sponsors that are helping him fund the rehab of a 69 Porsche that he's building. He's also big into music. So he's reached out to some amplifiers or music companies to be sponsors, which are usually pretty high dollar items. So when you're thinking about your podcast and potential sponsors, start doing that. Start writing it down. I like to say just do a big brain dump on a whiteboard or a scratch of paper if you don't have a whiteboard at your house right now. Write it down. Hey, what do I do? What am I buying? What products am I using? What services? What software am I using on a regular basis? Does those things fit for my listener base? And the avatar for our main show is a 35 to 65-year-old individual. It's really split right down the middle. 51% men, 49% women for the most part, making 75 to 250 grand a year or more. They're homeowners. They're college educated. They're in management position, or they have some sort of O in their title, CEO, COO, or they're in sales as well. They order stuff online, and 3 of their biggest hot triggers is retirement, cash flow, and real estate are 3 of the biggest keywords. So when you can dive into specific things like that, that will be helpful. Now, I also know that Laura Blanc loves art. She's also big about her kids. Getting ready to have some grandkids. Joel Markovitz is big. He's a huge Bruce Springsteen fan. He loves music. I found out that a lot of my listeners love music of some sort. They're played in a band or musically gifted or artsy. So it's okay to have those occasionally if they don't fit perfectly, but keep that in mind. The more you know about your audience and your listeners, the better off. And you may want to use like a Survey Monkey or a poll or something like this to send out to your listener database, or create a link where your listeners go to it and fill out, and they tell you about more their needs and their wants along the way. And that will help you in so many different ways out there. When we do our Note Camp podcast once a year, we send a survey out to the people that attend. We get about a 30% results of people answer, but we have like 25 questions. When do they start in real estate? How many deals do they do in the year? What's their biggest need? What's their biggest fear? What are they looking to accomplish this year? Do they have an LLC? Do they have a website? Are they looking to partner with somebody? Do they have an IRA account? So we ask a lot of specific questions so we get a better feel for it. But we also ask questions that work well with our sponsors so that we can add value to our sponsors and value to our listeners, if that makes any sense, okay? So the more you know your audience, the better you'll be able to attract the right type of sponsors that will be a true win-win for you, okay? Now, I'll give you an example. We have had a variety of sponsors, either long-term or short-term with our show, like Lawford Associates. We do a lot with legal stuff and entities, so I reached out to them, and they were like, we'd be glad to be a sponsor. Quest IRA, big self-directed IRA company, was one of my first sponsors that I reached out to with us for us, and they've sponsored on a regular basis. Get Fundable is another company that works with helping people get approved for loans and lines of credit and help them kind of optimize their credit. They've been a sponsor and been well for our clients. Rentometer, I talked about them. They're a website that we use a lot to check rents in the real estate side of things, and we have an affiliate sponsorship with them. Infusionsoft is the company we use for our emails, blasts, and marketing. They're a sponsor for us. Rocket Your Dollar is a podcast that was had me on as their show. I said, hey, you want to be a sponsor for my podcast because we have ideal listenership? And like, yes, we would love to be. PaperStack is this kind of a company, software out of Florida. They're interested in being a sponsor for our upcoming as well. They've sponsored us in the past for you. Same thing with a Watermark. They're a big website that does a lot of asset sales. I said, well, do you want to be a sponsor? Like, yes, they would love to be a sponsor because we fit their ideal clients. And then we have an insurance company that's been a sponsor in the past for events. So there's a variety of different things you can use. Pat Live is an a call center kind of software that a lot of our clients use, and I've used them in the past before. So I reached out to them. They're like, oh yeah, so we're working through the final paperwork on that. So think what you're doing on a daily basis, a weekly basis, what's going on, as I said before, what problems can you solve, or what passions can you flame along with the clients are for you, all right? So how it stacks or adds up for you. So let me give you a little bit of a breakdown, kind of how the whole thing flows in for us. Because I'm a big believer, not only, as Neil said, I have a kind of a three-tiered approach to things. I believe sponsorships where people are paying you on a monthly basis is a great thing. I also believe that most of your sponsors that provide some sort of software or service also have an affiliate relationship so you can get money or a percentage of sales off of either memberships or sales or assets. And thirdly, you have a loyal listener database. You might as well get some sort of affiliate split or even start up membership like Misty's getting ready to do here with her Rocket membership and stuff like that. So there's a three-tiered approach to what we kind of do with marketing that all work with our sponsors in mind, all right? So we started off in August of 2017. We had our first sponsor by January, 4 months later, okay? So we got actually 3 sponsors that started paying us $1,000 a month. And we do 3 to 5 episodes a week. So one of the things that we would throw in, say, hey, come on the show. We'll dedicate an episode exclusively to what you have going on with events. Let's educate my listeners with what you're doing because it's it's a true win-win, okay? We also have another sponsor that's paying us $1,500 per month, all right? For the first year, you see how that goes, all right? Because we were doing really, really well. We're their number one referral of new clients. We usually are for our sponsors. Out of those 4 relationships, we had an affiliate relationship with them for products sold. If they sold somebody to our client, we got a cut of anywhere from 25 to 50% of whatever they sold on the software, the class, or the event, which is really can add up as well too for your listeners. And then we've also done a variety of different short-term sponsorships where it was 6 months and it'd be anywhere from $1,500 or $500 here for a month and go back and forth. That added up with 6 other sponsors on a variety of different things. Other affiliate sales from some of our speakers was another nice thing coming on a monthly basis from cross-promoting and softwares. They didn't have a sponsorship, but they had an affiliate aspect of it. And then, of course, we started a membership March of 2018, and we just celebrated our 2-year anniversary for having that sponsorship, and we still have 75% of those that signed up for it originally still being a part of it, paying us $97 a month. That we send out swag, we provide discounts. This becomes a really nice thing for our sponsors because they listen, hey, we've got people that buy on a monthly basis from us, or they're listening, they're doing deals, they're really taking action. Let's put something together that's special for them. And then those people, when they get something from us or they get a discount, they share it on their social media. So now we basically have somewhere between 70 and 100 micro influencers promoting our sponsors, promoting our people that sponsor the podcast and our vendors that go along with it. So people love that. Okay. Then you also look in the different things that we've saved by having discounted services on from vendors that we use, where they cut things in half, or they reduce it dramatically, or they give us stuff on a regular basis. So this all adds up in a 12-month period for you. And that's the way you got to look at it. It can't just be somebody hand you a check every month. You've got to give something and really find the ways to massage it in a variety of different ways. It's not really just black and white. There's a whole lot of gray that go into making something, a good sponsorship relationship work with it that wants them to stay with you, wants them to repeat. And the sponsorships that the podcasters that we've talked to have had sponsors or lost sponsors. And I always ask them, well, why did they stop sponsoring you? So, oh, it became a pain in the ass. I'm like, well, what do you mean it became a pain in the ass? Well, they wanted me to send an email blast out. Or they wanted me to do a 30-second call on 5 episodes instead of 4. I'm like, why not? It doesn't take much to do this. And if you're actually using that service, and that was one of the biggest things, are you using that service for that company? Like, no, I don't really use them. I'm like, well, that's why it's a pain. You don't see the value to, you're more worried about the value to you versus the value to your listeners and your audience, okay? So here's the thing. We talked about this in a blitz second. Make a list. And here's some ways to make a list to find potential sponsors. Just like I said before, jot down on a piece of paper all the products, the softwares, the companies you use, the companies you visit. Now, visiting might be a little different now because we're all kind of tied up here, but think about this. Who do you bank with? Who do you go get your car detailed with? If you have a local podcast, who are the local companies you work with, the local businesses? All right. Maybe you need to join a BNI group and find sponsors at your local BNI networking club. That's a great place where people are spending money on a monthly basis and are looking for opportunities. Okay. Conferences and expos are the best, though, or other meetup groups in your niche. These are the best. This is like, it's literally like God is saying, there are your people, all right? Because conference and expos all have sponsors, all have people that pay to have a booth or paid to speak or paid to be there, people looking to spend money to drive clients. And if you fill that gap in some sort, it's pretty easy to find sponsorships. We'll go through that a little bit more, okay? Listen to other podcasts in your niche. Who's on their show? Who are they sponsoring on their show, okay? Would that fit? That's a really great big thing to think about. Who's on their show? And reach out to them. If you go to most of these events out to will often list who their sponsors are. Like if I go to Traffic and Conversion Summit, I can see exactly all the 85, 100 plus sponsors that sponsor there. South by Southwest has 205 listed on their website as sponsors. And those are people who are all spending money, okay? And a good thing to figure out, okay, let me call the company, the expo or the conference and say, okay, what are you charging to be a sponsor? Is it $500 to have a booth? Is it 300? Is it 10 grand? All right. You can find out what kind of budget these companies or potential sponsors have on a regular basis and allow for you to kind of, okay, maybe 10 grand wouldn't work, but maybe $1,000 a month. And as long as we do something on a regular basis, okay? Compare and contrast the numbers. Putting together your sponsorship deck. What I mean by this is your 1-page, 2-page, 3-page slides or form talking about what you offer the sponsor. You know, this is where, hey, here's the reasons why you want to sponsor my podcast. All right. Here's the reasons you want to be involved with us and what we can do to help you. Here's what we do. Here are all the things that we can offer. And that's not too hard to do, but you want to take some time and make sure it's written out. Maybe put a little, graphics with it with Canva. That's what we create ours with. And you're adjusted on a regular basis because your numbers should constantly be going up. So it's just something you go back to on a regular basis and make things up. So think about this. I've always found if you offer somebody up 3 different options, what are you offering? Hey, we've got the bare bones, we've got the medium sponsorship option, or we got the badass option. Everything's included. And so having that kind of setup, or hey, we'll give you an episode once a month, or hey, we'll just do a 30-second, 45 second call out, or we'll plug and play you in. There's a whole different things. But the thing you want to offer them, like I said, is a couple options, and then start sharing, kind of boast on your show, your total reach. Hey, here's who we have for social media. Here's who follow me on our business page. Here's who follows me on my personal page. Here's what we have on LinkedIn. Here's how many YouTube subscribers we have. Okay. Share that stuff. We got a big email database that we're glad to blast you out. And then also, you want to make sure that maybe your stuff initially, when you're talking to sponsors, most people are very hesitant to sign a long-term contract right now. And this actually works in your favor. Start off just 90 days and say, listen, we're come on for 90 days. We'll do this. And then we'll come back together and reevaluate. Is it good for you? Is it good for me? And then you can go into the longer term because it gives you a 90-day trial period to really kind of prove yourself. And then as always, if you've got previous sponsors or current sponsors, say, hey, here's who's sponsored us right now. Here's who sponsored us in the past for how long. Here's what the type of results that they got with us. All right. So that's why you always want to be going back to your current sponsor. Hey, how did this work out? How many clients did you get? The the promo you ran, how did that work out for you? Okay. So I would always go back to my sponsors every 3 to 6 months and, okay, how did that work out for you? Oh, we added 400 new accounts. I'm like, yes. Or we added 30 new clients this month. Yes. The reason I want him successful is because when it comes around time to really evaluate the sponsorship, I'm going to increase the price of the sponsorship. My value just went up because they did a really good job in converting the leads that we would send them. Okay. So think about this. There are so many conferences that got canceled out there. The biggest one being South by Southwest. Huge here in Austin, Texas, and Texas. I mean, literally $1 billion difference in the economy here. And all those companies that were coming, all those films, all those artists, all those entrepreneurs coming into Austin now don't have a place to showcase their events. And if you go to the website today, I looked in there, literally still they show list all 205 sponsors on their website. And they're sponsors of all different types. Some are good for us, some are not good for us, some like cities. Great. All I need to find though is really 1 or 2 sponsors on there to make it worth my while to go out there and reach out. They literally tell you, you can go to the websites and find people. They're just literally begging you there to reach out to them now. Okay. So we're doing this with another event right now. There's a big marketing convention that we usually go to every year. It's held out in San Diego. It's the Traffic and Conversion Summit. Steph and I have attended, I think, 5 or 6 years straight. It's a huge event. If you're any type of digital marketing or podcasting or online sales, it's 3 days in San Diego. They were going to hold it at the convention center this year. Expecting over 8,000 attendees. Deanna Rogers, who runs that event, puts that event on, was my first ever assistant years ago. It's my claim to fame. But she was talking to me that they bring in over $1 million in sponsorships alone of over 150 people, 150 companies. $1 million plus in sponsorships. Okay. And that's from sponsoring not just the booth, but the coffee, the rooms and other things out there. Okay. Last year they had over 6,000 people at it, but it's a beautiful thing to go. But you got to think about this. If you had 100 people at an event paying 10 grand or more for a booth, they also had other costs that they're not able to recoup at right now, right? It costs early bird tickets like $700 all the way up to $1,500 or more for a ticket. So people are paying to be there. Plus you got travel costs. We all know that's expensive with airfare. Airfare may be cheap in the future, but in the past, 2 round tickets on Southwest could still be $1,000. And you got hotel costs are expensive. They're jacked up through the roof, $300 to $500 a night. Then you got swag if you're running a booth there or being sponsored. Swag, t-shirts or other types of giveaways or labor costs to bring people in. So people are dropping not only just 10 grand, like 20 grand an event to walk away now with nothing. No leads, no names, nothing. Looking for a way to get their message out. Hello? Can you hear that? That's the sound of money. That's the sound of companies that are looking for opportunities to get the word out. And now podcasting is such a huge opportunity for you. If your message and your audience aligns with one of the sponsors. How many of them do you need? 1, 2? Just putting stuff together. So the best ways that we talk about approaching sponsors is know what you have, okay? Know if your niche is big or small or what your audience is. Talk about what you have, all right? Know your numbers. Know the number of unique downloads, not total downloads. We know that number can be gamified by hit download, 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 okay? But share the number of unique downloads that you're getting over the first 30 to 60 days. Because really after 45 days, we don't see a lot of downloads unless you're going back on a consistent basis and re-promoting those episodes, okay? Also, if you're taking a look at unique downloads, how many episodes are you getting each month or releasing? This is another big thing. If you're a once a week podcast, you really only have 4 episodes, 4 opportunities. If you're 2 days a week, that now to 8 episodes that you have. Like that's why we do 3 to 5 episodes a week. Not only do we come up with different content, but we have different speakers on. We're also sometimes promoting the episodes with either giving us stuff for our swag or they're a sponsor or affiliate and other things. Okay, so keep that in mind. What else are you offering? What else does your network look like? We talked about there. Can you do an email blast out to your database? I got a 100,000 person database. Not all that would work well if I was getting a podcast kind of sponsorship. Well, maybe only 5,000 in that database would be relevant for them. Or if it's real estate, well, let's move it up to 65,000 that we would be willing to send out a couple of times to them. Okay. Social media posts. How often are you promoting? How many people follow you on your page? All right. How many connections do you have on other things? Like LinkedIn's a big thing that I see very few podcasters utilizing. And it's a huge way to promote your podcast and really start getting the listenership out there. Okay. Are you offering up interviews or ad spots? Are you doing just audio, or you're doing audio and video so you can leverage a Facebook Live replay or YouTube to your downloads on there, to your YouTube community? All right. Or uploading that to a variety of other hosting pages. Okay. How long and how much is what people ask me. Well, how long should I charge? Should I have this be, and how much? I don't have the right answer for you on anything. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, but I always recommend starting off 90 days and revisit. Then you could do a one contract after that. I think it's important, though, don't go off the old radio model of CPM, cost per 1,000 downloads. That whole way works for radio. It doesn't work for podcasting because you've got so many different opportunities here. So I think a flat fee or a revolving fee. One of the things I put in my contracts is when we go up to 10,000 downloads a month, it's $1,000. If it goes to 20,000 downloads in a month, it bumps up to $2,000. If we go up to 30,000 downloads in a month, it'll go up to $3,000. All right. So those are some things you should put into your contract and say, hey, if we do well, hey, it's going to cost more because now it becomes much more valuable territory. And we're all looking for more eyeballs and earballs in the market out there. And there's plenty of space out there, but don't get sucked in just to being a podcast, just being an audio podcast. I mean, only 26% of Americans are listening to podcasts. That removes 74% of the United States out there. Part of that's the whole reason that we do well with a lot of our sponsors is because we actually have a video portion of what we do. And all I get I don't see 30,000 hits my YouTube account each month. It's still valuable because it's 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week advertising for them. And they see that, okay? Plus, knowing your avatar, I have an older avatar. You know, a big chunk of my audience is 45 to 65, which aren't the most savviest podcast listeners, but they do go to Facebook and they do go to YouTube and they do answer their emails, okay? But so start off maybe $500 to $1,000 just to get the ball rolling as a way for you to do. It is also important, I should have brought this up earlier, to know what the lifetime customer value is of your sponsor's client. And what does that mean? Well, if we're dealing with, like, I'll use the example from Michael O'Neill. He's using, his podcast is Wrench, and his client is, one of his sponsors is Porsche, or not Porsche, I can't think of I'm sorry. The company did all the engine for him. Well, that's a big dollar, $10,000 client there. You know, so the people that buy those engines have a higher value of things versus, oh, it's a $20 t-shirt, it's a $10,000 engine. So knowing the value of your listener, of your client to that sponsor can also help you affect and adjust your numbers. Like, oh, hey, you're offering up a special discount. So you've got a music podcast. Oh, you bring on an amplifier company. Oh, well, if they sign up and buy one of your amps, that's a $6,000 purchase. I think we could do more. You only need one to pay my $1,000 or $2,000 a month. Let's work it out and go from that point. Okay. One of the things that we do, like I said before, we do these biannual or once every year. Sometimes we do it twice a year, but an online conference in our niche. And we've take all of those episodes. We do basically 3 days, 34 speakers, vendors, investors, and a variety of people. And we do a conference and we bring in speakers and they share the conference with their database to get people to come to it. Well, we take those 30 episodes and turn into its own podcast. And then we sell advertising on those. So we go back to our sponsors for the event and say, hey, we're turning this into a podcast. Do you want to sponsor an ad on this new podcast on all 30 episodes or on 5 episodes that run for you? So that's the thing. If you don't have a big list, hey, bring some of your peers together. Bring some of the people that have other shows or other things that are similar to you and do a mini event and have it shared across the board so that it's a win-win for you and for everybody else that's a part there. Okay. Here's what I do. I'll give you a little bit of example. So like I said, with our numbers, we average about 1,000 unique downloads per episode. And we're doing 3 to 5 episodes per week. My Facebook, I have 33,000 business. I have 5,000 personal. My YouTube, we've got 3,300 subscribers on there that will look at our videos when we post. 21,000 LinkedIn connections. That's been very valuable. Everybody, yourself, please, you're on. So we get the feedback. Twitter, we've built a 9,000 follower base on Twitter where we can communicate with. Email, like I said, big email list which is valuable out there. You don't have to have a huge email list if you've got a smaller niche. There's different ways to grow that list out there, okay? And radio. Radios have been a big thing that we started out of pocket ourselves. Now, most people would like, oh my God, 17 shows or 17 markets must be expensive. No, it's not. Very inexpensive. I pay very, very cheap for 6 episodes. If you want to learn more about that, you can email me. I'll tell you more about that. But it becomes a great thing. Like, oh, I'm a nationally syndicated radio host. Oh, that adds a little bit more value than just a normal real estate investor in the neighborhood. Okay. Events. We do events, and then we make sure to get our sponsors from our podcast, primo spots as part of the events as well too. Okay. But the minimum we start them off with is, like I said, $1,000 a month. And then if they've got an affiliate relationship, we want to have an affiliate split with them too, 30 to 50% of what they're selling. Okay. And then you want to adjust it as the numbers increase, as your downloads increase, your network increases, everything you're doing, everybody, is valuable. And you see the picture on the right side called a marketing octagon. That's the thing. You want to have your presence everywhere, because you could take your episode, take your sponsor, say, hey, you're just not on the podcast. We're in all of these channels that we're going to be promoting you on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, depending on whatever product you want or whatever package you want to buy. Okay. So another thing for maximizing sponsorships, talk to your sponsors. What's worked in the past? What is not? If you've got your 3 packages and they like a little bit of something, but don't like another one, hey.
Well, the video you were watching, when I just
change it up, tweak it up a little bit. Not one size fits all. Okay. Use pretty links. It's a good thing here as well, guys. Use pretty links to make sure and track your links. If they give you a link, hey, drop it into a bit.ly link so you can track them. Can you go ahead and mute everybody again, Oziel? Thank you. Jim, can you mute yourself?
Hold on 1 second, guys. Hold on. All right, guys, if you could just mute. I'm trying to mute everybody, but it's muting you as well, Scott. Hold on 1 second.
All right,
Here you go.
Mute. Okay.
There we go.
All right, perfect. All right. So
Sorry about that.
It's okay. It happens. That's the least of our worries, man. I'll take Kid Talk in the background.
We're rocking and rolling, baby. Come on.
Rock and rolling here. So if your sponsor give you a link for an event, hey, use a bit.ly link to track how many people click on that. Or go to prettylinks.com and create a custom link that you can track, because that's important. You don't want to just be giving a link away and not knowing how that worked for you. This is one of the biggest mistakes I didn't do in my business early on with my blogs for each episode. I just put their link out when I should have gone and created a bit link. And it's, oh, you had 100 people click on your link, or you had 65 people click on your link. How many of those do you convert? All right. Always ask them to, hey, where are they currently marketing? Okay. What platforms are they doing? What's worked well? What's not worked well for? Okay. Like I said, if they won't work with it, but you still think you could do something, maybe you want to offer up a 90-day trial. Hey, come on aboard and we'll do it for just affiliate links or affiliate splits for the first 90 days. And after 90 days, if it's done well, then we'll reapproach that. I've done that before for a couple people and it's worked out well. Okay. If no to sponsorship, do they have an affiliate opportunity? I've reached out to software companies that we use and like, oh no, we're kind of limited on our budget, but we'll give you an affiliate opportunity. I'm like, that's fine. I'll put the link on my website and promote them and still get checks every month from that coming in. And all I had to do was kind of ask for it. All right. And here's another thing. Some people call this dirty pool, but I'll give you an example. If you could go to a company and they just tell you no, who are they who's their rivals? Who's their competitors? Well, if you won't sponsor, if you're not going to sponsor with me, I'm going to go next door to your competitor over here and ask them the same thing. Oh, wait a second now. Don't do that. All right. Okay. What do you got? Competition, everybody. Why not? Okay. Always track and share your results. Keep that on track. Say, oh yeah, so-and-so, we did this one promo for Quest. They had 45 people that signed up that all spent at least $100 that first month. So that was $4,500. No, yeah, $100 that went into them is an active in one just promotion. Or, hey, we helped Merrill with Get Fundable. We had him on our podcast, and he filled up his whole class of 80 people at $97 a pop off of our podcast. Those are things that you want to know and want to track and add. You add value, like I said, not only to yourself, but also to your sponsors. Okay. Now, another thing is you can go out. There's some websites out there that offer up sponsorships, like Podit is one, or Podcorn. Sorry, Podcorn is one out there that gives you different sponsorships, people looking for sponsorships. Okay. Commission Junction is another great affiliates website. Impact Radius is all sorts of different things. Tapfiliate, JV Zoo, First Promoter, A-Win. I would look on these, and if you see companies or opportunities that work for affiliates to begin with, it's something you're already using, and you do well as an affiliate, then definitely reach out and say, hey, I've been a great affiliate for you. Let's take this to a whole different level, okay? Those kind of things. But there's a variety of websites out there. And like I said, I'll give you a link to my PowerPoint presentation here at the end so you can download all this stuff here for you too, okay? I talk about tracking, and I am avid about my numbers. And so I keep a spreadsheet every month. I just threw this up here so I can see how my show is doing. How many downloads did I have? How many unique downloads did I have? Is that gone up? Has that gone down? You can't see. I said, okay, how are we trending year over year? Are we going up over last year? Are we down versus last year? How many countries are we in? You know, so this is important. I keep track of this. It's the first of the month every time I get on. The first of the month, it's the first time. Okay, look at our numbers from last month. How did we trend? Where are we at over year? And then we can really kind of evaluate what do we have coming up? What are these opportunities? And these work really well. So listen, you see we're trending up compared to last year. Don't you want to be a party? And no just means not now to everybody. If you've reached out to companies and they said no a year ago or 6 months ago, follow up with them. Hey, we still got an opportunity. Here's our numbers. Here's how we've improved and gotten better. You sure you don't want to say yes now? All right, something to think about that, okay? Here's something that we're doing for a specific podcast too. Stephanie, my lovely spouse, is a big heart for animals. And we've got a podcast that we're working on with her right now, getting ready to launch it, called the Fur Babies Podcast, okay? Got about 6 or 7 episodes on YouTube. We haven't launched anything yet, but we're working through some things. I said, well, let's do this. So that's the logo. If you go out to the YouTube, subscribe, or follow her on Instagram, Fur Babies Podcast. But we, you know, pets, people that are focused on their pets is one of the top 5 markets out there for people. We all know we'll overpay for something for our dog or our cat than when we would for something else. Oh, I got to tighten the budget to eat ramen. But I'm going to buy Sparky that brand new pink collar, right? Okay? Or that new bed for Sparky, or that good, or God, we have enough food here for 12 years in quarantine for the cats than we do for ourselves, okay? She's just watching. But anyway, we're launching this in just over a month. Our goal is to get 10 to 20 episodes up, so we're launched and ready to rock and roll with that. And there's an event going on. It was originally going to go on in Houston, you know, Memorial Day, the weekend after Memorial Day, called PodCats. Now, PodCats is this big convention around the cat industry. I mean, huge. They have like 4 big conferences, and it's crazy. Like, I was like, don't get me wrong, I like cats. I'm more of a dog guy, but when I went to the PodCats event here in Austin last year, I was cracking up. People dressed as cats, guys doing all sorts of crazy things, all sorts of sponsors around animals. I was like, ding, 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 here's an opportunity, all right? So in an average 2-day period, they'll have like 10,000 people come through the doors of the convention center, okay? And they were originally going to have one, like I said, I have the wrong dates on it. It's actually August is in Austin now. But anyway, I was like, I reached out to them. I said, hey, what's it cost to be a sponsor there? And they're like, oh, it's $300 just to have a booth. If you want just to have a booth, it's $300. I was like, oh my God, $300 to have our podcast in front of 10,000 people in a weekend? Why not? Why would we not want to do that? And we could interview the people there. If anything, we're going to get a flyer that has all the other sponsors and speakers at the event. Those could be ideal people for us to reach out to. Affiliates, you know, products or swag, you know, batch record. We do a lot of recording, you know, recording on site for episodes and batch record everything for a month or 2 and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is genius, you know. And our whole goal with this is like, hey, do well on one, and let's go back to them and say, hey, we would love to be the official podcast for PodCats. Try to say that 3 times fast, okay? But being in front of your ideal clients, it's a, you know, I wouldn't be going hanging out at PodCats by myself. I'm just not that kind of guy. Unless Steph goes, and then I'm going to go, and I was like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. So if you have an event that you go to that fits in line with what you're doing in podcasts, here's kind of the formula for it. Go, hang out. Maybe it makes sense to get a booth. Maybe it makes sense to be a sponsor of somebody else's podcast or a podcasting event, just to go to network and get the word out what you're doing. So I want, before I kind of take questions, I kind of want to show you what my sponsor deck kind of looks like, because I always get this asked from people, hey, can you mind showing us your sponsor deck? So very simple. We designed this in Canva. We've got our 3 shows. We have a kind of a map of our radio station network there across the country. So that kind of shows them right off the bat. And then we talk a little about, hey, we broadcast over 25,000 listeners each month. We do Facebook Lives almost every day. 400,000. That's actually now up to almost 700,000 downloads. So 1,000 view plays across YouTube and Vimeo per month. Talk where we're at. We talk about our email list, our YouTube, our LinkedIn, so people see our numbers, taking screenshots of that. We talk about the different benefits. We'll give them a shout out. We'll have them our quarterly workshops. We'll have them a regular guest, 30-second ad placement, special recognition at our mastermind events, all sorts of things that you might take for granted, but they really mean a lot. They really mean a lot to your sponsors. Hey, here, you're going to get all this? Yeah, I would do it normally, but hey, yes, I would do that all for you, okay? And then I have a very simple credit card form. Fill it out, sign it, send it in. If they end up, some people want to do sponsor 2 months or 2 shows. Like we have some companies that have 2 different entities. If they want to bring in an insurance company and an appraisal company, they're together, great. You both sponsor, we'll give you a little bit of a discount. Very simple thing. If you want a copy of that, I'll be glad to send it to you. But before I wrap up, I have learned more about sponsorships from Shaquille O'Neal. You're like, what the hell? This guy like pitches anywhere from like Papa John's to the General to anything. On HBO, about over 2 years ago, I saw a special of him on Brian Gumbel, Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. And they were talking about how Shaq, he's a big sponsor. He's a big spokesperson. He's got all these companies that pay him money to be a spokesperson. And what he does every year in November, December, he brings all the companies that he's a spokesperson for or sponsor for, and he brings them together in Orlando. And they have like a Shaq Expo. And what he does, he sits them all in a room together and he asks them, hey, what are you doing this next year? How can I be a better sponsor for or spokesperson for you? How can I help promote your product better? How can you guys cross market? And I thought it was just absolutely genius. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Bringing your network, your mastermind of your sponsors and people that want to promote you, that are there to promote you together in one room and help them work off each other. So we did the same thing. We've done it 2 years now. This was the first one we did here in Austin. And each and every one of these is still a sponsor for us in some sort of fashion. They're still promoting us as we're promoting them. And we get together once a year. And it's a great time to spend 2 days. Hey, what are your events you have going on? What's your promotion schedule going on? When are you having an event? Can I come speak at the event? Oh, hey, maybe you should have Meryl come speak at your event here. Oh, hey, you know what, Tom and Tracy, you need to talk to these guys about launching a podcast. Hey, George, I see you've got your big thing going on with your finance launch. Let's talk about figure that in there. So it's one of the most valuable things I can tell you that is just, it's not a tangible number to it, is if you've got sponsors or potential sponsors or affiliates, find ways to get them to cross promote, because they've got one thing in common, and that's you. They're sponsoring your show or working with you. You know what they like better than they know about each other. So don't be afraid to make those relationships. Whether it's across, like, it's like, oh, you'd be a great guest for this podcast. Hey, you'd be a great client for this person, or you'd be a great affiliate for this other person as well. So feel free to share in the wealth and promote it there as well for you. So I'm here to help you guys. I'm glad to take questions here in a second. I would really love it if you did go out there and leave a review on the Note Closer Show. You can find me on just about every social media channel at Scott Carson. If you'd like a copy of my slides, I've already uploaded them to SlideShare for you. You can either email me at scott@weclosenotes.com, or you can go to the pretty link I put together, bit.ly/podhouston. It is case sensitive. That'll take you directly to this presentation on SlideShare. You can download it there. If you'd like to spend some time besides tonight and maybe do a little brainstorming, I'm glad to help you identify some opportunities, stuff like that. There's no strings attached, no cost for it. You can book a 30-minute phone call with me. I'm on the phone a lot, and I'm helping a lot of people, and I would love to help you guys that showed up here tonight. If you're looking for sponsors or looking for opportunities, maybe you've got a brain fart, you can't figure out a brain block. Hey, I brainstormed with a couple people last week, and they found different sponsors already in different avenues and different ways to help them monetize their show in some sort of fashion, whether it was an affiliate, a speaking event, or a pure sponsor. So you can go to talkwithscottcarson.com, and it'll book you straight to my calendar for 30 minutes. So let's open it up for questions if anybody's interested.
Before we get to that, can we get everybody just a round of applause? I want to hit this reactions applause button. Bam, there it is for Scott for a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Yes. Can we just get everybody, there's a reaction, just hit the applause button, show him some love. Yeah. Great job, Scott. So we got my man Scott Carson, WeCloseNotes.com, the No Closers podcast. And of course, he listed everything well done on the slide. So please be sure to check him out, support him. And yeah, there you go. There's some applause. And we got a lot of love, Scott, in the chat. I think Pedro what was he talking about? Everybody was just stellar information. Scott, this information is priceless. Thank you so much. Pedro.
Glad to help out. So where do we start? Who wants to start? I'm going through here trying to see what kind of questions.
This is great. Well, you know what? I do have some questions for you. I wrote down.
Okay.
So let's start there.
Sure.
Let's see. All right. We got Carrie Miller, who's in the group right now of the Healthy Brain podcast. She has two questions. One of them is let's see, how long do you have to be podcasting before starting a podcast membership? Great question.
Oh, that's a good question. Before starting a membership, I think you've got to be around a little while. I mean, I know people that started off, it all depends on how your podcast aligns with maybe what you've already done. If your podcast is a passion project, completely different what you've done before, you're probably going to need to do it at 3 to 6 months and click out some episodes and start seeing your numbers grow. Now, here's the thing about it. Here's the number. I always say it's a 1% rule. So if you take a look at your unique downloads in a month, divide that by the number of episodes that you have. So let's say you have, make numbers easy, you have 1,000 unique downloads and you did 5 episodes. So you might have like 200 listeners, okay? 200 pure listeners that download and subscribe that listen to your show. If you started a membership, you might get 1 to 4% of those to sign up. So that might be 2 to 8 people to sign up immediately. Now, the cost of that membership is completely up to you, depending on what you're going to offer with that. I know a guy that's got a $7 a month podcasting sponsorship, and he's got 1 million people on it, roughly 100,000 people paying him $7 a month. And all it is just to attend his webinars once or twice a week, or once or twice a month. Other people, it's something really valuable. So it's $1,000 a month. So that would be a better question to figure out, hey, where are you at? Now, if you've got a podcast that works well with what you've done for the last couple of years, you could start one right now, launch it. If you've got vendors and sponsors that are willing to contribute. So what's in your sponsorship or your membership varies. You just got to add value. I know some people use Patreon on a regular basis, which is okay. I don't use Patreon. I use a little bit different with what we do. So like we'll send out swag about once a quarter to our members. It's $97 a month. So what I always say is I'm trying to save them at least, or make them $97 a month. Either it's saving them in discounts to vendors. When I have classes, they get a free ticket to as part of that. So that's the thing. Anything you make evergreen will help you justify that cost. What it was like if they were going to take my workshop, it'd be $5.99. Well, you could take it twice a year, or you could just pay me $97 a month, and you'll be able to all you can eat. And people are like, oh, I'll do $97 a month. Sure, it's cheaper than paying $5.99. And then what happens? They just keep paying and paying and paying. So, Carrie, if you want to book a call, feel free to book. I'll be glad to spend more time on there and answer questions more uniquely. Okay.
The other question, I believe you answered this, Scott, is Scott linking the email he sends out to sponsors. Did you do that?
Do I link the I'm sorry, say that.
Are you linking the email he sends out to sponsors? Is Scott linking the email he sends out to sponsors?
No, I don't. I see. Here's the thing. I have. Oh, am I putting the email that I send out to the sponsor? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Each email is a little bit different.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. I know my numbers and the slide deck. My 5-page sponsorship deck. I can send that out to anybody that's interested. But the email is going to be different for every sponsor, for the most part. Like, hey, here's what we did. Here's what we do. And the more you can personalize that and customize it, the better feel it is. And the more likely. If you just do like a same spam email to a bunch of sponsors, there's no personalization. You have a very low success rate versus like, hey, Ozil, hey, I know you're the head of Pod Houston. Let's talk about sponsoring my podcast, which is about Houston. Versus, hey, just sponsor my podcast. You want it to be unique and have some sort of that you've really done the work to talk to before you talk to your sponsors and how you can help them uniquely. Okay.
Pedro Pena is asking, how long did it take to grow your email list to obtain? And then the second part was to obtain your first sponsor. Thanks.
Oh, I'm constantly building an email list. So let me give you an example. You could start when you email out. It could be 100 people. All right, that's a tribe. I mean, if you have people that are in your niche, Pedro, you're my stuttering life. If you've got 100 people that are stutterers, that's a valuable list versus somebody has 10,000 contacts that aren't affiliated with that. So it all depends on how valuable that list is. All right, and how niche it lines up with what your potential sponsor is. It could be 100 people. It could be 1,000 people. One of the things that I try to do is if I'm going to a meetup or event, I always grab business cards from people, or I make it easy. I have a business card scanned in my phone just in case I run out of cards, so I can still text people my business card. So that's the first thing I do. When I get home, I upload the cards into my thing, or I use Evernote to scan them directly into my database. And then I'm following up with an email to them the next day. Hey, it was great meeting you at PodFest. Or, hey, it was great meeting you at Pod Houston or at Spark. Try to do those things so that I'm top of mind and I build that relationship. And then, hey, do you mind? I have a newsletter I send out, or I do webinars every Monday night. Would you like to be a part of it? If not, no biggie, no harm, no foul. But I want to add content to them immediately. So, and if you know anybody, you could do that. Now, there are some of the things you could do. One thing I didn't mention that we've done before is we've joined some associations. We paid to join an association group, and part of what they gave me was the database of it. And I said, I got permission. Can I send an email out to the database once or twice? They're like, yeah. Or someone will send an email on your behalf. Those were well. I mean, you might. I don't know if there's a My Stuttering Life. Maybe you need to see if there's a Stuttering Institute, and reach out to them and say, hey, do you want to sponsor my podcast? Here's my listeners. That would be a great one. Memberships, associations. Anytime you get corporate sponsorship, that will work well. Even if it's a small download or small list, because it's their ideal client. If that makes sense.
That's a great tip with the uploading the business card to Evernote, scanning it. That's a great tip. I use Evernote, but never thought about it like that.
Oh, it's awesome. And then LinkedIn. Man. Oh my God, LinkedIn. You could go in and Google. I'm not Google. Search for people in your network. So I add like 100 to 150 people a day on LinkedIn from using a service called octopuscrm.io.
Okay.
I'll just go in, type in real note investors or real estate investors, and it pulled up 5,000. And I can click the little button in it's a Google Chrome thing, and Octopus will pull over 1,000 profiles into their CRM, so I can send customized messages. Hey, I see you're a note investor or a real estate investor. I would love to connect with you. I have a podcast on note investing. Let's talk. And that's added to our database on a daily basis. It's one thing I do every morning. And then when I get a card, or like what I did with you, Azil, you may not know this. When you spoke at Spark, you got up on stage before you started doing your breakdancing moves. I already followed you on Facebook, already followed you on LinkedIn, and I took some photos of you dancing and speaking, and I sent them to you. And that's how we originally connected that way.
You did.
So that's a great thing. I try to do that with PodFest. I think, Pedro, I connected with you that way on PodFest because I saw you were a speaker at PodFest before. And so when I went there and saw you in your white shirt and glasses, we were talking to Glenn the Geek together. I already knew you, basically. So that's the thing to keep in mind with that stuff. If you've seen an event and see speakers, hey, that might be a good thing to reach out to speakers, even if you're not going to the event. Okay.
Yeah, that's a great strategy because I remember that tag, Scott, and I think you tagged me on Instagram, and then from there I followed you, which you got a follower, right? You got some support, and then I started digging into your content. I was like, yo, this guy actually has a lot of great content that could be valuable to our community with Pod Houston, and I reached out to you and asked you to be a speaker. So that's how that works, guys, is going to events, and I think the secret sauce is in the follow-up. And I think when people attend events, they get these business cards, but they never follow with people. And I get it. I think we're all guilty of sometimes getting lost in all these business cards, but the follow-up, we got to be strategic and go into it. That's the secret sauce.
So here's a quote I should have tattooed on my ass, okay? 80% of sales are made after the fifth contact. 80% of sales are made after the fifth contact. It is scientifically proven that most of the time we'll send one email, but 48% of Americans will never follow up a second time around. So that's the thing with a lot of sponsors. I've had sponsors that told me no. Originally, they told me no.
Yeah.
6 months later, they called me. Okay, I'm ready to sponsor your show now. I can't get the green emails. I see your green emails all the time. Or I see your marketing all the time. I want to be a part of that now. I'm like, cha-ching, yeah. So follow up. No means not now.
No, right. And also to add to that, for those who are trying to get these big name guests, that applies to that too as well. So when you're trying to act, look for these big name guests and they say no, follow up with them, and then just 6 months or a year, and then you'll be surprised. I've actually landed some big guests because I got rejected in the beginning, got hurt, but I came back and then they said yes. So that also applies to every facet of podcasting, not just sponsorship, but also getting bigger guests on your podcast. So awesome. I'm feeling it, man. Good stuff here. So he was asking Pedro was asking, second part, how long did it take to obtain your first sponsor?
A week after I asked.
Okay.
But because I reached out to the people I worked with already. Like I was already a big referral business to them. So I just reached out to them and said, hey, I got a podcast now. Would you like to be a sponsor? And they're like, yeah, we'd love to. I'm like, because they were already sponsoring other events. And so I knew that they had money in their budget, and I was already referring clients. And so it was a true like match made in heaven, I guess you could say. Like, hey, be a podcast sponsor, $1,000 a month. Yeah. I think they just handed me their credit card. Like, hey, yeah, send me a form or something later on. I was like, okay, let's go shopping. No, I'm just joking.
Right.
Just ask. And that's the thing. Just ask people, are you interested? Yes. Oh, great. I'll send you something or we can talk about it. Just start. The only thing you guarantee in sponsorships of not finding sponsors is not asking. If you never ask, you never know. Some of the sponsors I just asked out of the blue, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, whoa, okay, let's talk more.
Yeah. Exactly. Kind of getting over that fear and just ask. I love that. Scott, what about, Pedro was asking, do you use Instagram? Now I know that answer because I know you use Instagram. How about we reframe that? How do you use Instagram for your podcast marketing? And second part is, are you on the new platform TikTok? Are you doing some dance moves on TikTok? You talking about the no close the show?
No. So here's the thing: Instagram and TikTok are the worst platforms for me because my client, my avatar is not on there. Remember what we said? My avatar is 35 to 65.
LinkedIn,
Twitter. Facebook, email, YouTube. All right, and Twitter. So that's the thing. I post like my ego graphics. If you go to my at Note Closers Instagram or at Scott Carson, I have a page for my podcast. I have a page for my personal account. I post quotes. I post infographics from my shows, so it's on there, but it's just not the ideal. I've dumped money into it. What I will do, what I do with Instagram more so than anything else, is if there's another event going on someplace that I'm not going to go to, I'll find out which hotel or conference center it's at, and I'll geo-target within 2 miles of that hotel, and I'll blast people there with the interest with my logo and some sort of give you opt-in for my podcast or something like that. So that's really all I do with Instagram. I have a TikTok account, but I'm not a dance.
No dance moves. So geo-targeting. Yeah, there you go. You got the moves, man. Come on, man. Let me put some music on. The geo-targeting, man. That's very digital marketing ish. Can you explain real quick what geo-targeting is, real quick?
So Facebook owns Instagram. So you can go in and if you upload a photo, an image, and so you can say, hey, I want this image to view to either an audience, you pick the audience, or you can do it by geographic location. So I'll give you an example. Traffic and conversion, something that was going to take place in San Diego. If I wasn't going to go to it, I knew that it was at the conference center, so I could pick the San Diego Conference Center and then take my circle. I said, I want to market to people within 5 miles of this location that have interest in digital marketing or YouTube or podcasting. And they're between this age and this age. And they have these other interests or stuff like that. So I can target it and identify people in that area. And when they get on Instagram, I don't have to be friends with them or follow them, they'll see my posts. And that's a great way to get a bunch of views to your website or people to opt in if you give something away or stuff like that as well. So it's pretty inexpensive. Like you can do like $1 to $5 a day, do it up to 30 days. It's pretty simple. Whether you want to do it really geographically location or do it across the country for people that have a different interest. So it's not hard. If you type in how to use geo targeting on Facebook or YouTube, there's plenty of videos to show you how to do it.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk to see. Misty was asking, do you work with agencies?
No, I do not work with agencies.
Okay. And EPEC was asking, who do you contact at the companies for sponsorships? Who is the direct contact? Marketing departments? Who is it?
This kind of goes in with Misty's thing. I work better working directly. If I were to work with everything gets filtered through, and it's not the same thing. It's like the game of telephone. So I prefer to work directly with the contacts. And what you're going to find is that call them and say, hey, who's in charge of your business development or your event planning? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your business development or your event planning. Okay.
Okay.
And, or yeah, who's handling your sponsorships? If you know they have an event coming up, who's in charge of sponsorships?
Okay. Love it. Okay. So Misty was asking, Scott, have you ever worked with an ad agency? I don't think you work. Okay. I asked that. Okay. Okay, cool, man. I do have, and we're going to open it up, guys. So I want you guys to ask the questions. I was just writing some down, so I want to make sure that I get to those. Do you think affiliate marketing, Scott, is a great gateway to getting sponsorship? Is that a good starting point for it? Because we have a lot of people in our community that are beginning. So they're like, hey, listen, I don't have the big download numbers. You know, can I start with affiliate marketing as a transition?
Right? Oh, yeah, totally. I think it's the easiest way, as long as what you're promoting falls in line with your listener database or who you're listening to. There are people out there that are affiliate marketers and they promote everything and every day. And those lists get so burnt out. Don't do that. If you're going to do that, make sure it's something that you use or you trust and like that company. But affiliates is a great way to get started. That's what I started doing before I ever got into podcasting. I had affiliate relationships with people. Hey, you speak at my event, you sell. I'm going to take half of what you sell because I'm the promoter for the event. Or if I went and spoke at a meetup group and I offered my class and I sold 20 people at $9.97, I knew I was going to walk away with half of that because the promotion part is the biggest thing. And there's so many ways. You don't have to have a big list, a big following to be a micro influencer and be able to do well with affiliate stuff. And so just do that and just make sure it's on track with what your show is doing. And then you still say, hey, we're an affiliate marketer and here's who we've done affiliate marketing for as a sponsor. You're approaching other people.
Good stuff. All right, guys, we're going to open up the floor. We have about 10 minutes. Scott, how are we doing on time? We're good?
Here, man. I'm here to serve. I thought we were going till 8 o'clock, so I'm here.
So we are going to 8 o'clock, but I actually want to be mindful and respectful of your time, my man. So we'll go ahead. We did great on the presentation, on the timing. If you guys have any questions, now is the time to unmute yourself. I believe you can do that and ask away. Anybody? Let's see.
I have a question.
There you go.
My podcast is about people and their passions. I have a lot of charities that come on. It's very new, just launched Valentine's Day. Would it be somewhat beneficial to maybe see if I can sponsor the North Texas Giving Day? Would that help get the word out type thing? Or is that kind of going against what we're talking about completely?
Depends. What are you going to get if you sponsor? Will you get some prime time to promote what you're doing? Will they give you a list of people that have opted in to be marketed to? What's your goal with that?
Basically getting the word out sort of thing, kind of advertising. Because they have thousands and thousands and thousands of people. It's the North Texas Giving Day.
So, but just how, if you're presenting something, how is it going to be portrayed? Are you going to get up and be able to speak for 10 minutes or an hour? Are you going to have a logo slapped on the program? Are you just going to
probably a logo? It's an online.
So are
North Texas Giving Day is online.
I rarely will sponsor anything that I don't get to speak at.
Okay.
You want to be able to get the word out. You want people to see more than just a logo. And, I'll do it occasionally if it's something new. Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing is you want to be able to get on that live stream and be able to promote and stuff like that. And maybe you need to do your own day of giving. Here in Austin, a couple friends of mine got the National Social Media Day for Austin approved on September 30th. So 3 years ago, they did an 8-hour thing with traffic conversion and some speakers talking about social media and stuff like that here. Luckily, I was a sponsor for it. The next year they did it. I said, okay, I don't want to be a sponsor for it for just 8 hours. Let's do something bigger. So we did a 27-hour live stream, and we did it from midnight on the East Coast to midnight on the Pacific Coast the next day.
Wow.
And we had 45 speakers from 15 different countries. And so for a fraction of what I paid to sponsor the event, I was able to do a lot better event. We had over 150,000 views on the Facebook page for this National Social Media Day. It was $600 versus what I paid $2,500 to sponsor. So be very valuable. If you see and you don't think you're going to get, go back and do something yourself. And I think you can often do a lot better, a lot cheaper.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, CJ.
All right. Great question. Anybody else?
Yes, Scott.
Yeah, Pedro.
Do you do voiceover swaps with other podcasters? You know, to kind of get into their niche that you wouldn't have been exposed to before?
What I do to get on other audiences, I do guest appearances. I try to get to speak at least 2 to 3 times a week on other podcasts that are in our niche of some sort. Because that's the way I look at it. I mean, we used to travel like 40 weeks out of the year, traveling the country and speaking or going to conferences and meeting with bankers back years ago. That gets old really fast. And so for about an hour of work a week, I can usually find 2 or 3 other podcasts that are in the real estate, the entrepreneurship, or the business kind of realm that my show works well, you know, knowing my avatar. And then I'm reaching out to them to be a guest on their show, or them to be a guest on my show, doing a show swap that way. I don't do a lot of 30 or 45-second read ads. I'll do occasionally for my sponsors, but other than that, that's sacred ground. It's valuable just for my sponsors. Does that make sense, Pedro?
Hey, Scott, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So are your sponsors, are they mid-roll ads, or are they just overall sponsors, or how does that work?
It's a mixture. It depends on what's going on. So usually, I mean, my main sponsors will usually get an episode a month, and they love that. And then we'll, depending on what they have going on, we'll swap out ads all the time, depending on what events are going on. So right now, I've swapped out all my ads, and I'm re-recording new ads right now to put mid-roll in the last 100 episodes. So which makes it easy because the people that host my podcast, Podetize, they've got the ability to plug and play. So that's another thing too. I don't bake in my ads. They're all dynamically inserted. So when I record an ad, if it's good for a while, great. We can swap it out with a new episode if a new event's coming up, or if that sponsor ends the podcast sponsorship, I pull all their episodes or all their marketing and insert new ones in.
So how many ads are you doing per podcast episode?
Maybe one to two on the podcast, usually mid and then one at the end. On our radio network, I do usually one in the mid. Depends on how long. If I have an hour, so I can do whatever I want with that hour on the radio. So if I record an episode that's 45 minutes, I'll put an ad on the front end and then an ad in the back end. If I got two like 25-minute,
right?
It's 6 days a week.
Okay.
So.
Awesome. Thanks. This was fantastic, Scott, by the way.
Awesome. Thank you, Misty. Appreciate it. Anybody else?
Anybody? Scott, I actually have a question. Because it could be a lot of work, man. So, obviously trying to, once you build this component, the sponsorship relationship to the podcast platform, now you're talking about maintaining relationships, right? Making sure you deliver consistently. Do you outsource that? Do you have somebody in team that manages the relationships with sponsorship, or are you still doing that as well? What's the workload?
Once I set it, I had a full-time marketing person that helped me initially.
Mm-hmm.
And once we got regular sponsor stuff like that, then it became really easy. Like, okay, I just need a VA to do it for the most part. Because then it's just like, I talk with my sponsors, my 4 or 5 main sponsors, say, what do you have going on this quarter? What are your dates? And then we plug that into our marketing calendar. What day of the week do you want to record on? Okay, record it now. So like, I have Aaron Young from Laughlin Associates. He's the second Monday of every month at 11 o'clock a.m. So that's already into my booking calendar. I've blocked it out of Calendly. And then I just follow up with, hey, what's going on? You got an event we need to market for you. Mm-hmm. Hey, what's the links? Just touching base on that monthly basis with sponsors. We usually have a quick 20 to 30-minute phone call either before we record or after so we can update that. And then it's really easy to delegate it or just to tweak a few emails here and there.
I have a question from Special Says. So this is not related to sponsorship, but they want to know, what's the most important things to put in your episode description?
You're talking about your 4,000 characters in iTunes description, I imagine. Here's the thing. Fill it up. Fill up that full 4,000 characters because that works as like SEO optimization. That will drive people to you. So your description, talk about your show. If you're going to have guests on, dive a little bit into it. So originally my iTunes description was, a couple paragraphs, and I left all this real estate there unused. I'm only using like 1,000 characters when I had 3,000 other characters I could use that worked to my benefit. So go and talk about your show, talk about a little bit about your background. The more you can put in there, the better. And I think that helps it when people are searching for shows, if they come across your keywords and things like that. Same thing on LinkedIn. If you're going to have a page on LinkedIn, fill out your full profile. Don't just put I'm self-employed or I'm a podcaster. Put, hey, here's what I am. Here's what I'm passionate about. And here's the show. Use all that real estate up. It's just sitting there and you might as well use it.
Awesome. I'm asking her special. Does that answer your question? Okay,
Yeah,
super helpful. Yeah, awesome. Perfect. She beat me. Okay, awesome. Good stuff. Anybody else?
I have an idea. I have a real quick idea. If we could do this, if you guys wanted to throw a little bit about what your show is about in the comments, we could do quick, like, hot seat brainstorming on sponsors. You want to do that?
Great idea.
A little bit the guy said, I'm going to
Let's
post
go.
it now. I see some people.
Not everybody at once. Come on, guys. Let's go. Who's going to be the first one?
I will. Let's do it.
Misty, we're going to get somebody else. Hang on. Misty's already here. Let's get somebody else in. I know I'm Misty.
Misty's like, okay, here we go. Jesse, here we go.
All right. Jesse Curtis says independent music and culture. Okay. Oh, my God. That's so easy. So I would be talking to all of the different bar venues that have different things going on. Like, if it's independent music, like South by Southwest would have been a great place to come and meet all the bars and all the different things going on here and culture along with that. But that's the thing. There's periodicals. Maybe you can get magazines. Maybe you can get small festivals, independent music. Maybe you could actually reach out to some of the like Fender guitars or some of the different amp companies or things like that. Tools that musicians use and talk about that. Okay, that would probably be a great place to go. Okay. What's CJ? Their passions. I would almost figure out and drop your passions down to something narrow a little bit, CJ. I think people talk about their passions. That could be all over the place for a variety of reasons. You know what I mean? So you might want to bring it down. Real people, real passions, real hearts. Maybe causes or something that goes along with that. You might, if you find yourself doing your show for a while and you start fitting into a couple of similar passions, I don't know, that could be, maybe it's painting or music. Go along that avenue where you see maybe the more you talk with your listenership and find out which kind of area they answer, those that they answer tell you, which is the way I would go.
Yeah, most of them are causes or charities that are already out there. A lot of them, probably about 90% of them are charities. That I talk to people. I talk to the people, the head people in the charity.
Okay, so maybe I know a lot of charities once a year will do a big fundraiser. Maybe you can figure out what that calendar is and maybe have them be a sponsor to talk about that fundraiser. And I don't know how many episodes you're doing a month, but you could maybe have 12 episodes throughout your calendar year that are dedicated to once a month the sponsor of the month is, or something like that. The passion of the month is. Okay.
Awesome. I got some people.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, here we go. I'm going to go up, Scott, because just in case you missed it. So what about the Healthy Brain podcast, which is hosted by my good friend, Carrie Miller here. She is, Carrie, tell us a little bit about the podcast. Go ahead.
Yeah, Scott knows a little bit about it.
Okay, well, there you go, Scott.
It's dementia.
Dementia. Okay, I would reach out to the Dementia Association. I would reach out to that or to memberships or associations. If that's what the focus is, say, hey, would you like to be a sponsor for the show? And maybe instead of them paying money, it might be worth to do an ad swap. Hey, come on the show, give me an episode if you will promote my podcast out to your whole listener database.
Cross promote, yeah.
So like
I was going to say, Carrie, like what about like Stony Brook Farms yogurt or any of the healthy food companies that you're already working with? The things
for affiliates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have
sponsorship.
a long list for affiliates.
Well, and sponsorship too.
Sponsorship, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you could find a farmer's market locally that has a lot of those organic foods or things like that. I mean, we got one that meets used to meet in the parking lot of our mall across the street here every Saturday morning. So I would go out there and try to find vendors or who runs that. Hey, do you want us to promote your show? But if it was a local podcast, might be something to think about that way. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more question about I've got the name, the Healthy Brain Podcast, but I noticed that there's a guy that has the Healthy Brain Podcast YouTube. He doesn't really. So what I do with that? Nothing.
Is he using it?
He's used it like 3 times, and he's a workout guy, and it's not even nothing to do with the healthy brain.
So here's what I would do.
Odd.
Go find something, maybe go find a URL that would work well for him and say do a swap. Like I'll give you an example. I found there's a sushi restaurant that needs some help here, so I went and found the URL best sushi in Austin. I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy that. Here you go. You know what I mean? It's a swap, you know. Best trainer in Austin, or wherever, best trainer in Houston, you know. Hey, I got this. I would like to swap it with you. This would work better for your channel. Do you mind giving me the YouTube name? Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah, great advice.
Good stuff. Okay, what about, does that answer your question, Carrie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually going to schedule a call with Scott. So
awesome. Good deal. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, and we got Dwayne. Dwayne was talking about, wow, that's a lot of things going on here, Dwayne. Beer, movies, TV, video games. Yeah, there you go, Scott. That's a curveball.
That's how I do it.
All that's in one podcast, Dwayne?
Yeah.
3 beers, what is it? 3 beers and a mic podcast.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So what might work better for something like that is maybe, and I don't know how you do it, so forgive me if I come across wrong, but I wouldn't focus on everything every week. Maybe you do week by week differences on things, and then maybe have those individual episodes of those weeks sponsored by different like the different breweries. And you're in Houston, so there's a lot of smaller breweries that have events. Maybe you bring an event together and say, hey, I don't know, hey, whoever you're talking about that week, the beer, see if they'll sponsor it. The show is sponsored by Carbosh Brewery, or this episode is sponsored by Shinerbach, something like that. Because, hey, we're going to be talking about your show. Don't you want to be sponsored and have a giveaway? So if you can plan it out ahead of time, that'll be the thing. Say, hey, we're doing a special show. We're opening up to 4 or 5 breweries. The first 3 that want to be a sponsorship for the show, let the competitive nature kind of kick in.
I like it.
He loves it. All right, good stuff. What about, so Lilybeth's mentioned Holistic Health podcast.
Same thing. I would reach out to your holistic healers if there's a festival or magazines or holistic healers you use, like a spa or therapist or medicine or something like that. What do you call acupuncturist or something like that? Fall into that. Say, hey, would you like to come on? Yeah, I know. I'm sitting here. I talk with my hands. Okay, that's what I would do. Talk with who are your clients listening, or who are they using, and say, hey, this. I would say, hey, get Ricky Williams in the green because he's a big holistic healer. But that's what I would do. Find the vendors, find the companies that fall in line with that, and then say, hey, we're doing an episode this week or this month on acupuncturist. Do you want to be the sponsored acupuncturist?
What about the niche in special education, Scott? Legal
processes.
Special
education.
Yeah, information.
My ex-wife was a special ed teacher.
Okay, so Laura has a podcast that's tailored for the special education community. It deals with a lot of social emotional learning, et cetera. So, yeah, what about that one?
So are we talking like Asperger's, autism?
Yeah, I believe so. SPED, homeschool.
Okay, so I would reach out to all the doctors, all the occupational therapists, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And say, hey, would you like to sponsor the podcast, and give them an episode? Maybe I'm trying to think of the best way to do it because it's been a while. So occupational therapy, any schools, special schools, after-hour school programs that are specialized in that in your area might be a good one. I would also before all this would happen, I would reach out to hotels or vacation planners that specialize in that. Like Disney had a whole thing that if you could come in with your special needs children, they would really cater for you, really help you out with things. So there's always those types of vendors in an area. Maybe you reach out to them, say, hey, would you like to sponsor our podcast? Because our listeners are clients that will use your services to go shopping or a night off, something like that.
Okay. Love that. About 15, 14 more minutes, guys. Okay, what about, let's see what we have here. Geek, oh, somebody was going to say
I was
something.
just going to say something like, couldn't Carrie and whoever had the holistic, I mean,
Yeah,
couldn't they
Lilibeth,
do
yeah.
like swaps, you know, like you promote on each other, like do cross
Cross-promote.
promotion on each other's, because y'all have a similar audience. And so that might be something for y'all to consider as well.
And do the promotion, write each other a check for $1, and then then you on your swap deck, you can say, oh, this show has been sponsored by this show. They paid money to be on there, $1. Okay.
Has she started her podcast yet?
She's about to start her podcast.
Okay.
Lilibeth, if you're there, yeah. Yeah, but that would be a great opportunity for you guys, you ladies,
Yeah,
to
sounds great.
cross promote. Also, just, one of the things, and I'm not sure if you mentioned this, Scott, but a great strategy, guys, to start building relationships with your potential sponsorships or partners, is interview them, like get them on the podcast, and let them know, hey, listen, we would love to interview you. Be on the Healthy Brain podcast. We love your yogurt. We love that it's organic. Get on the podcast. Interview. Find out who's hosting the farmers market, like the head honcho. Bring them on podcast, and then they know everybody, and then they can introduce you and all that. So I think bringing them on, giving them a killer intro, you edify, you make them feel like rock stars, you promote them crazy within the podcast, you post it on social media. So when you go back, you say, hey, remember me, they're more likely inclined to be like, you know what, you gave me an awesome interview, you promoted me, and now absolutely, this makes sense. This is what it feels like to be on a podcast. Absolutely, I'll sponsor. So that's something that just popped in my head.
So I have a quick question. So could I ask the doctors to sponsor?
Yeah.
Scott, yeah.
Here's a tool. If you go to listen, here's a tool that we use to kind of help our podcast list out initially. If you go to listennotes.com, you can do a search, and it'll download the URLs for, like I did a search for notes or real estate investing podcasts. Okay. So I pulled a whole list of like 5,000, or maybe it wasn't, maybe like 1,000, 989 actually real estate podcasts. Well, it gave me their URL, the last time they uploaded an episode, when they first started, how many episodes they had, and they gave me the contact email and contact information for the person that ran the show. So that was the thing that I did initially. Sent ahead an email, hey, I think I'd be a great guest. I think you'd be a great guest on my show. Let's hook up originally. Okay. But also I went back to Listen Notes, and then I ran a search for people that hadn't uploaded a show in 6 months or longer. So they basically pod faded. And then I sent an email to those people and said, hey, you haven't done a show in a while. Are you still doing your show? And most of them said, no. Well, can I buy your show? Because most of these people will still have subscribers, and they'll have good database information on social media, and you can buy it for a nickel. Now you've got extra. You go back in and add an episode to that show to all the subscribers. Hey, we're moving the show. Instead of the Healthy Brain, you're going to go to the Brain Healthy podcast and subscribe now.
Boom.
Oh, that's so good.
Carrie, another thought for you too. I'm just thinking of, like, if there's a neurological association, isn't there like a brain rehab place here in Houston, or Alzheimer care units?
I have people in hold. I have a lot of things going on in Houston. But
yeah, I would just ask them all if they want to be sponsors, and start pitching them that way.
Thank you, Misty. Yeah. Now, are you guys using Zencastr, or are y'all using Zoom?
I use Zoom.
What's everybody?
Zoom.
Zoom?
Yeah, Squadcast is another good one. Zencastr, I've been hearing it's been a little clunky. Some people are having issues, but Squadcast is the new kid on the block. So that's another one that's really great.
Squadcast, you have the video option to see them, but
Right.
you don't have the video option to record.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on if you want to use that video for something else, or if you want audio only.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, Pedro yeah.
Zencastr is good for just audio.
So, but Pedro dropped in here. The video option is coming out in May, baby. So, Squadcast. They're a sponsor of my show. No, I'm just kidding. They're not a sponsor.
Yeah, no, they're great. Actually, I've had conversations with Zach, and
Okay.
he told me that the video option for recording was coming, but he didn't tell me when. So that's awesome that it's coming in May.
Yeah. So, okay. So what else, guys? We're about to wrap up here. Somebody was asking, two more. Eliseo, geek culture, pop culture, anything geek related. Scott?
I would maybe find the different bars that have the Geeks Who Drink games every week.
Oh yeah, there's one in Houston. Yeah.
Alamo Draft House here has that, and I would go and say, hey, the Alamo want to sponsor this? We'll promote that you guys are coming out this big. I would just get the different services to buy. I don't know, pop culture.
Comic-Cons.
Yeah, the thing about Comic Cons might be good to do that. Maybe you find a memorabilia store that does all those really nice custom movie posters. They might be willing to be a better sponsor to do that, because that's a passion versus somebody who's just buying a comic. What's a comic, $5? That's not really going to be take a lot of comics to sponsor unless they're a big shop or something like that. Might be something to think about. So,
but if you go to the Comic-Cons, you can find different people, like you were talking about going to the different conferences. Comic-Cons are just chocked full.
There you go.
Things.
Yeah, see the local
I go
Comic-Con.
to Comic-Con,
There you
so.
go. Yeah, I would. Yeah, go to local Comic-Con and see if they'll sponsor your podcast and come on and talk about it, interview them, and then.
Comic Palooza is the one down in Houston that's huge.
There you go.
Eliseo, check out the Neil Bar, which is in downtown. They're a very nerd gaming centric bar. Really cool. People go there to game it out, man. So I think even if you hosted some live events there where you hosted your show, I think, and have them sponsor, I think it'll be a great win for both ends. And again, you let them know the value of bringing in that you're going to promote them. I think one of the things that Scott said is that you have to make them feel like you're going to be supporting them. I think that a lot happens I was actually talking to somebody who was on the back end of HostGator, and he was saying a lot of people who they have to let go of people because they sponsor and then they don't do a great job promoting them. So remember, they're thinking of what are you going to do aside from the mid-roll, pre-roll, what else can you do? So they love that incentive of, listen, we're going to blast you on social media. We're going to tag you. We're going to put you on a blog list that's going to have you as the #1 hosting service for podcasters, et cetera. So if you go in it with, listen, we're going to go in there and do this show, but we're going to promote you all the way throughout until we and after, that's going to cultivate that relationship with them. So keep that in mind for anybody who's trying to reach out, especially for sponsorships. So relationships, guys, I'm big on that. So Neil Bar, check that out. What else is going? I think the last one that we have here, Scott, doing a fantastic job, man. Oh yes, Sean, my boy Sean Kelly, Be a Man podcast. It's a men's relationship issues style podcast, most specifically surrounding marriage issues. Scott.
Okay. Here's the thing. I would with that find a place, the guys like the men's barbershop that does a real nice one with the cuts or the shave you there with a hot shave, that would be a great one. Or same thing, find a counselor, a marriage counselor that kind of focuses on that aspect of it. Or there's custom tailors. A lot of times custom tailors, there's who's the company? Like the Men's Warehouse. See if they would do a sponsorship. Or who's our tailor?
Indochina. Yeah, the Indian made suits, the Indochina. That's
I don't know.
Yeah, they're big into suits.
Okay.
Hey, how about a group of women? We just sit around and we give them our opinion.
Find a wine bar,
a round table. That would be great. Yeah. A wine
Maybe
bar. Yeah.
The man box. If you got a men's there.
Yeah.
The man crates.
Man crates. There you go. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah. And then Sean, there's a great business here, small business in the Heights called Man Mercantile, I believe.
Yeah.
It's like a very manly. It's actually one of my favorite stores here in Houston. You can reach out to them, man.
Yeah.
You can find in the mall the shave store with the beard. You could send some beard oil over to Ozil there since he's got his whole man going there. We're starting to call him Mufasa.
There you go.
Thank you. That's a good one. There you go. So Sean says, good suggestions, guys. Thank you. Got it. I love it. Awesome.
Scott, what was the name of that website? Listen Notes or
ListenNotes.com.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep. No problem.
Good stuff. So Special says Zencaster is doing a free option. Let's see. Nerd Culture. I think that was it for all the podcasts. I think it was a good mix of podcasts. So I love the fact that some of them, of course, are a lot easier than others. And Scott, you did a fantastic job just kind of navigating through that and rocking that out, man. So we appreciate that. Does anybody have any other questions before we close out? We're about to close out.
If you guys want to book, it's talkwithscottcarson.com is the link to book 30-minute phone call with me. No cost, just like helping people. I know a lot of us are like, what do we do now? Because a lot of people aren't open or not in business, and look, still people are still marketing. And that's why I think the software play and other things like that can be something that could be big for you. So
cool, awesome. I know you got Carrie, CJ just said already booked it. We got a lot of awesome people. Yeah, man, Pod Houston, man. It's a fantastic group. I told you, Scott. I mean, we're kind of the cool kids on the podcasting block.
I will tell you this: you guys have a very good community.
We're the champs, number one.
There you go. Well, the fact that you meet during the week is a great thing. I mean, we've got a good group here in Austin, the Austin Podcast Meetup. They do a great job, but they usually meet like Saturday mornings, and they don't really meet on at night. I think that's when people have the opportunity, especially right now. So,
and this is a small group. We usually have like way more people than
50
this.
people, or so.
In-person meetings, it's like what, anywhere from like 30 to 50 people usually.
Yeah, more than about 40, 50 people consistently. Yeah, every single time. Yeah. We have a great group. Yeah, a bunch of new faces, and it's been awesome. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for joining. This was very. I was excited because number one, this is actually my first time doing like a big group Zoom call. So this was very exciting for me, and of course, I'm kind of digging into the learning process of doing more of these. Why? Because we don't know how long this is going to be. I'm praying that this passes soon. I'm praying that you guys stay safe. You guys are a community. I love you immensely. And also I know somebody who is in the community, Tiffany, who is recovering. So that touches home. So I'm praying that, Tiffany gets better soon. And I believe she's already on her road to her recovery. And then I want to continue doing this. I think this is not going to stop us. I think as content creators, as podcasters, as leaders within our industries, because I believe that all of you are leaders in your own industry. And I think now more than ever, leaders got to speak up. No pun intended. We got to use our voice. I don't think this is a time for us to kind of peel back and say, hey, listen, let's go ahead and not create events, or let's not create community, or let's go ahead and wait until let's go back in our holes until everything is better. Because this is going to be a minute, and it's going to take some time even after to recover from this mentally, emotionally. I think we're going to come out of it stronger than ever. And I know that I'm looking forward to the day where it's going to be emotional for me, and I'm pretty sure for a lot of those who host events, to see everybody again in person. Yeah. And I think that we just have to make sure that we keep that in mind, that if we just stay connected, which is the reason why I started a podcast, COVID Operations, because I really wanted to bring our community together that are going through this. So I know a lot of you contributed to the podcast, and I want to continue delivering and putting these groups together. So we'll do another one next month. I think there's no excuse to do it every other month like I'm doing the Pod Houston events. I think every month we can do this. We can jump on. We can share our journey. We can kind of get personal. We can talk about what the things that we need as podcasters and provide resources and strategies and tips. So that's kind of what I wanted to close it out with, to say that I love you guys. Please be safe. I want to give, once again, a big shout out to Scott Carson for making this happen, for delivering an amazing presentation. Woo-hoo! Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. And I look forward to Pedro's over there. Pedro even TikTok. You were talking about TikTok, man. I'm sure. There you go. He's a little B-boy. Awesome. Well, thanks guys again for joining in our first official virtual event. And of course, more information on the next one. And Scott is part of our group. So Scott, feel free to jump in there. If you guys have any questions, either hit him up for the 30-minute call or drop him a comment on Facebook. All right, guys, that's it. Anybody else? Scott, you want to say anything?
Just ask. You never know what you're not going to get. That's the biggest thing. If you got sponsors, ask. You never know who to say yes or when they get around to it. So plant the seed now is the best thing. And guys, what I love about the podcasting is co-opetition. All right. We all are competitive in nature, want numbers increases, but we're all very collaborative and working together. And working together to make things happen. So don't forget to reach out.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody who joined
Great
in.
job. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you, Oziel. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Be safe,
Thank
guys. Be
you.
safe. Thank you.
Thanks.